our paper talk. We're going to start to explore all the kinds of things that you can make with paper, ways to change paper, and what happens when paper gets wet. Today, we're going to explore how we can change the shape of paper. Let's take a look at all these kinds of paper we have. We learned that paper is made out of lots of fibers, often coming from trees, that have been broken up and put back together. And so they're all interlaced. It can make it pretty strong, like with this cardboard, or it can make it pretty weak, like this tissue paper. But depending on the kinds of paper, it might be harder or easier to change them. But there are three main ways that you change the shape of paper, and those are folding, ripping, and cutting. Let's take a look at how those work with some copy paper first. This is copy paper. It's what comes out of most printers, and it's really common. It often comes in the mail, so you can find some just like this, even if it's not totally blank, and you can try these with us. The first thing we can do is we can fold paper. When we fold paper, we use either a tool or a finger to make a crease. It holds that crease, even after we unfold it. It's not completely flat. We can make creases that go in different directions, or are different sizes. We can make creases that are gentle, like this, that almost curve our paper, or ones that are sharp by pushing really hard. That changed the shape of our paper. But it's still the same size. We can also change the shape of paper by ripping it or tearing it. It depends on how thick your paper is, how easy or hard it is to rip it. When I ripped it that way, it was pretty easy to make a straight line. I wonder if I go this way. Whoa, it wanted to curve a lot more that way. That's because when they make the paper and the fibers line up, if the fibers are lining up more like this, it wants to rip. But if I try to rip against the fibers, it'll often try to wiggle like that. Some papers like to wiggle a lot when you rip them one way. Some don't care so much which way you rip them. When we rip the paper or tear it, then we can look and we can see. You can almost see it's like fuzzy. And that's because instead of breaking all the fibers, it broke in between the fibers. It pulled them apart. If we take our fingers and go like this, we can pull them apart. That's what happens when it rips, and so you can see all the frayed edges. It's a great way to get to tell how paper is made from looking at paper. But if instead we cut it, when we cut it, it does something different. We're pretty familiar with scissors. When we cut with scissors, we can make any kind of line we want. It's not the same as tearing. When we tear paper, the paper kind of tells us where it wants to go. When we cut paper, we cut it exactly where we want. There's no frayed edge. We've cut right in between the fibers and broken them apart. There are lots of tools you can use to cut, and they all have something in common. Let's take a look. I have my scissors. I have this cool paper cutter. I have this rotary cutter. It's like a pizza wheel. I have an X-Acto knife. It's a sharp knife made for paper. I have a punch. And I have a paper slicer. This one makes straight lines. Let's take a look at how they can change the shape of paper, and then we'll talk about what they have in common. Okay, so you watched me cut with scissors. Watch how this one works. With this one, I have to push away from me so that I keep my fingers away from the blade. With this one, I pull towards me, but I still keep my fingers away from the blade. Where's this one cutting? It changed it. But it changed it where we couldn't see what was happening. And with this one, I'll go like this. What did they all have in common? They all cut the paper. Yeah, they all had some kind of blade. With this one, the blade's hidden inside. With these ones, the blades are super exposed, so it makes it a little more dangerous because, well, when the blade's exposed, you could hurt yourself with it. With this one and this one, the blades are hidden inside of the plastic. It makes them pretty safe to use. And scissors, well, you use scissors all the time. They can be safe if you use them safely. Now let's take a look at some of our different kinds of paper. This is tissue paper. When I move it, I can already see that it's pretty light. Do you think it's going to be easy to change the shape or harder to change the shape? Let's try. Let's rip it. Whoa, it ripped really easily. Let's see if I can fold it. It folds really easily. It also unfolds really easily. What about this cardboard? It's also made of fibers just like paper. But look, it's got all these different layers. When I try to rip it, okay, it didn't like ripping. It was really hard, and it also made a big mess. We all know this. This is toilet paper. Is it gonna be easy or hard to rip? Yeah, it's easy to rip, and they made it that way on purpose. They even made it easier by making these little perforations, or holes, in it before we even get it, to help us rip it exactly where we want. But we could rip it anywhere. What about this paper? I think it's gonna be a little bit harder than the tissue paper or the toilet paper, but it probably is easier than the cardboard. That one made a messy rip when I went that way. What if I rip it the other way? Wow, in that direction it was super straight. Some paper is printed on it so that it's colorful on one side. This one's cardstock. It makes its own noise, and it's harder to rip than just copy paper. And this is a paper towel. Let's try ripping this one. What if I try folding this one? Will it hold a fold? A little bit, but it really wants to go back. It's kind of floppy. What if I folded this cardboard though? Oh, it's harder to get it to fold, but whoa, it'll stay there even if I wiggle it. So it was harder to fold, but it held it more. All kinds of papers can be changed their shapes in 3 ways: folding, ripping or tearing, and cutting. Can you go find some paper around you and try changing its shape?